Hello, this is a review of a Hughes and Kettner Statesman Dual 6L6 amp. I quickly wanted to do this video because, as far as I understand, it's not the most common amp that Hughes and Kettner did, or at least not the most popular one. There's quite a few videos out where people are doing sound demos of it, but there's not a lot of information regarding the amp itself, so I thought it might be useful to some people to just see what the controls are and just have a look around the actual amp. So on the front of it you have your standard power. There's a standby mode. There's two channels on it. There's a drive and a clean. So if we just go from left to right, there's a reverb, presence, standard bass, middle, treble controls for the drive channel. The drive channel's got a master and a gain. There is a boost mode, which obviously self-explanatory. If you press that, or if you use the foot switch, you get a bit of a boost in your volume, so that's good for your solos. Then you have your channel switch for the drive and the clean. All of these are backlit as well, which is quite nice. Obviously, if you're playing in the dark, you can see which channel is lit because they actually have different colors for each button when they're activated. Your clean channel on the end there on the right, again just a standard bass, middle, treble. There's a volume. There's also a twang mode there, so that kind of switches it to more of a American sound, more of a Californian sound from the amp. That's your input for the guitar. Now the only thing I would have preferred is if there was some kind of scales around the knobs. The knobs themselves kind of feel quite nice. There's a nice resistance to them when you turn. They're obviously quite visible. There's nice markings on them, but I think for me, I would have liked to have some scales around just to know where all the where the positions are, because otherwise you have to sort of just gauge it by eye. Nice Tolex all the way around it. I quite like this sort of sparkly, I'm not sure whether you can see it on the video, but it has a little bit of a sparkle on the front of this cloth. Quite nice sort of beigey retro plastics on the logo. So around the back, the tubes are just behind this metal panel. They are quite easily accessible. There's just these two screws to be taken off from each side, and then this whole panel will come out, and then you can easily get to the tubes. They can easily be replaced. Also, this little tab here covers up the biasing point. So again, that's quite useful to have the biasing right at the back of the amp. So you don't actually have to take a lot apart to do the biasing if you want to do that yourself, but it's quite nice, so you don't have to take a lot of it apart to get to that, so that's a good bonus. So again, just from left to right, there's a reverb balance, so you can turn the reverb more towards the drive or towards the clean channel, depending on what your preferences are. There's the effects loop, send and return. There's a button here. There's the option to turn the effects loop down by 10 decibels. Again, these are backlit, so that's quite useful. There's a switch here for the whether you want to turn the mode from serial to parallel. The foot switch section. So you've got two options for the foot switches. On this side, the foot switch will turn the channel and the boost. On this side, it will do either the effects loop and the reverb. Now, this amp has got another option here, which is called the second volume drive channel. Now, turning this basically gives you like another boost with the foot switch, but only if you use this FS3 model, which has 3 buttons. So basically, pressing one of the buttons on the foot switch will, on this plug, will give you an additional volume boost. The only problem is, without that particular foot switch, you can't turn this function on actually through the amp, so you can only do that through the 3 button foot switch. Unfortunately mine is not functioning right, but it doesn't really bother me that much. So then there's a loudspeaker outputs. So that's where the standard one, there's obviously two speakers in this, two 12-inch speakers, and then you've got an option for one 8 ohm or two 16 ohm outputs, or a 4 ohm output. And then that's a standard plug for the power. Sorry, not the resistor, the fuse is also located in here. This panel here actually comes off again quite easily. There's just 4 screws at the bottom and you can sort of get to the speakers. It's quite a well built amp. I've taken this panel back and you can see it's actually made from nice solid wood. The only downsides of the whole thing is it is quite heavy. The other thing that's a little bit annoying is that on this particular amp there is no headphone input. There's no headphone jack, so yeah, that's quite annoying, because it would have been nice if you just want to practice quietly, but then again that's not really a bedroom amp, so I guess they decided not to put that in. So hopefully you found that useful. It's quite a nice amp. It's got a nice sound to it, a good alternative to a Fender Twin, as a lot of people have said. I'm not going to play it. There's quite a few videos around of people playing these. So yeah, I just wanted to do like a walk around to show people. So hopefully it's useful, and if you have any questions, just message me and I'll be able to help.